Chapter 22, Strength Improvement. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 22 Strength Improvement. Netizens are talking a lot. What's this? Oh my god, what's wrong with the sunshine in this place? It looks so weird. Have aliens invaded, or are military bases researching new weapons? Could it be the superpower of mutants? No way, this is sunlight, can any mutant control it? Netizens are talking a lot and making all kinds of outrageous speculations. After Suyao and Kirill parted ways, he was walking alone in a remote alley. He covered his mouth and coughed several times. While he was looking for a new place to stay, he was looking for opportunities to practice various abilities. Black particle experience +1, space transfer experience +1, bounce shield experience +1, bounce shield experience +1. After a while, he opened the panel with a thought. Name: Suyao. Age: 16. Remaining lifespan 36 days. Mutant abilities: Imitation, Energy Absorption. Current imitation object: Big Snake. Title: Sun God, Will of the Earth. Unlock progress 79%. Ability: Space Transfer, 39 out of 500, Level 2. Black Particles, 34/500, Level 2. Rebound Shield, 7 out of 500, Level 2. Divine Finger, 3 out of 500, Level 2. Sunny, 1 out of 100, Level 1. Soul Extraction, 0 out of 100, Level 1. Spiritual Power Beam, 0 out of 100, Level 1, Unlocked. Energy Points, 413. Looking at the estimated lifespan displayed above, Suyao shook his head and sighed secretly, facing a body that is riddled with holes. Even the current light energy is a little weak, or it may be that the light energy is not strong enough. At the first moment, he thought of improving the light energy in his body. His eyes glanced at the panel, staring at the second-level abilities, and frowned slightly. It takes too long to upgrade from level 2 to level 3. It is better to upgrade the remaining level 1 abilities to level 2 first. Sufficient energy in the body can also allow him to truly exert the power of sunshine. Although sunshine is only at level 1, Suyao feels that it did not reach its upper limit when he used it before. The lack of energy in his body resulted in it not being fully displayed. If there was enough energy, the sunlight would probably be several times stronger than before. The question comes back to the energy in the body. Suyao glanced at the spiritual light beam and the soul. You can find a hidden place to practice the spiritual light beam, and as for the soul extraction, Suyao touched his chin and quickly found a way. Living people can't be easily used for practice, so animals can't. Just buy a small animal, and then use the soul drawing tool to move in and out. In this way, you can complete the soul drawing upgrade. Only, it seems like I don't even have the money to buy a small animal. Suyao was a little distressed. However, he didn't worry about it for long, and he quickly came up with a solution. Half an hour later, he walked out of a dark alley with more than $500 in his hand. Suyao, who had just done a crime to help the poor, showed a smile on his face and praised, "Thanks to the United States for the relief fund, today is another good day. Free America, well, happiness every day." After getting the money, Suyao, wearing a hat and mask, ran to the market and bought a red-eyed white rabbit. Finding a remote and uninhabited place, Suyao put the docile little rabbit on the ground, and then stretched out his right hand. Get out the soul. Soul Extraction Experience +1. He grabbed the white rabbit with his right palm, and then a white-purple light appeared, and he grabbed a white-purple light group out of the rabbit's body. As soon as the white-purple light group was taken out, the white rabbit's eyes immediately became dull, like a puppet without any spirituality. Suyao looked at the light ball in his hand in surprise. This light group appears lavender on the outside, but it is blazing white inside. In the white light group, an illusory rabbit appears in it. Is this the soul? Suyao Yen was surprised, and then he studied the rabbit's soul. He found that this soul was not only illusory and transparent, but its eyes were also dull, and it looked like it didn't have much intelligence. I don't know if there is any difference in human souls. Suyao pondered, looking at the ball of light in front of him. He had a feeling that he could easily burst the energy ball if he wanted to. It's just that the rabbit's soul will probably be extinct by then. Suyao tried to put the rabbit's soul back, and with a flash of purple light, the rabbit's soul returned to its body. Then, he began to go in and out inhumanely. Soul Extraction Experience +1. Soul extraction experience +1. Soul extraction experience +1. Soul extraction experience +1. Ability, Soul removal, 77 out of 100, level 1. When night fell and there was no sunlight to restore the energy in his body, Suyao put down his hand with regret. At this time, the little white rabbit's eyes were dull, as if he had been spoiled. Looks like it won't be upgraded until tomorrow. After sighing, he picked up the rabbit and rushed towards the shelter he had found. On the way, he took a look at the more than 400 energy points left, and subconsciously looked at the unlocking progress. I don't know what ability I will awaken next. Levitate and fly. Thinking of flying, he couldn't help but think of Superman and the people of the motherland. Walking slowly is not as convenient as flying. Furthermore, the momentum bonus brought by flying cannot be compared to standing on the ground. Suyao was looking forward to it. Subsequently, he added all the remaining energy points to the unlocking progress. Pity, no change. Suyao frowned slightly as he looked at the stubborn figure, which was still 79%. Forget it, let's talk about it tomorrow. He found a black hotel and moved in with the little white rabbit. The sun rises and the moon sets. Light energy +1. Light energy +1. While basking in the sun in the room, Suyao continued to stretch out his claws towards the little white rabbit. Soul extraction experience +1. Soul extraction experience +1. After a while, a prompt sound will appear. Ability, Soul removal, 0 out of 500, level 2. Feeling an increase in energy in his body, Suyao felt a lot more secure. With the energy in his body now, it is estimated that he can use the first level ability more than 70 times, and even the second level ability can use it more than 30 times. There is only one left, and I should be able to improve it today. Suyao looked towards the spiritual power light pillar. After checking out of the room, he walked towards the remote place he found last time. Having just walked halfway, his expression suddenly changed slightly, and he looked into the distance from the corner of his eye. I saw some uniformed police officers questioning passers-by on the street. They all held a photo in their hands, and the photo seemed familiar to them. Hello sir. I don't know if you have seen, hearing the distant sound. Suyao's expression changed slightly. He lowered his hat and left here quietly. Is this a confirmation that I am nearby? When he arrived at the last place, Suyao felt a little heavy. If he is found by those guys, he will probably have to fight, but he is not completely ready yet. Spiritual power light pillar experience +1. Spiritual power light pillar experience +1. End of this chapter. Chapter 23, Wolverine Logan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 23 Wolverine Logan. Blue energy pillars suddenly emerged from the ground, looking very strange. When the time came in the afternoon, he successfully upgraded the spiritual light beam to the second level. Ability, Spiritual Power Beam, 0/500, level 2. The improved spiritual power light beam cannot be greatly increased in power, and even the speed of emerging from the ground is much faster. He even felt that now the spiritual light beam could not only appear from the ground, but also be emitted by his hand. Suyao couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief after glancing at the abilities that were almost all level 2. It can be said that he suddenly changed his weapon from gun to gun, and the power of his abilities increased greatly. Even the second level ability can be used about 40 times before the energy in his body is exhausted. Now there is only one sun shining that has not yet ascended. Suyao murmured, it's just that the use of movement under the sun is very large, and the consumption is very large, so the improvement is expected to be very slow. Try it and see if you can make a castrated version. Suyao's body suddenly glowed with bright sunlight, which was filled with the light of the power of nothingness. It's just that this time there is no sunlight involved, and it relies entirely on the light energy in his body. He slowly increased the intensity until his whole body was covered by bright light, and the prompt sounded from his ears, Sunshine Experience +1. Suyao breathed a sigh of relief. Although it still consumes a lot, it is much less compared to the actual use of sunshine. If he really uses sunshine, all the energy in his body will be cleared at once. Next, he started practicing over and over again. Light energy +1. Light energy +1. Sunshine experience +1. Sunshine experience +1. Sunshine experience +1. It wasn't until the sky got dark in the evening that Suyao stopped, looking at the sun-drenched data. He breathed a sigh of relief. Ability, Sunlight, 23 out of 100, level 1. It's coming soon, it should be upgraded in the next 2 days. Suyao had some expectations in his eyes. I don't know what will happen if Sunshine reaches level 2, will it become more powerful or consume less? Or maybe the range is suddenly increased, just like when the rebound shield is upgraded to level 2. With anticipation, Suyao left this place and started looking for a new place to live. Just half an hour after he left, a group of fully armed personnel appeared here. The target should have just left, look for it quickly. The footsteps come in a hurry and leave in a hurry. Suyao, who was looking for a new residence, suddenly stopped. He looked into the distance in surprise, looking at a man in the distance who was wearing a black jacket on his upper body and jeans on his lower body. He felt familiar, as if he had seen him somewhere. With doubts, he slowly followed the man, preparing to follow him and take a look. After a while, he followed the man to the door of a bar. As soon as he entered, a harsh sound resounded in his ears. Bang bang bang, noisy rock music echoed one after another, resounding in this bar with colorful lights. The man he was following walked to the bar and sat down, expertly ordering a bottle of wine. Looking at the man smoking a cigar and drinking wine, Suyao felt more and more familiar. Looking carefully at the man's hairstyle, he found that the man's hair was a little raised, like two wolf ears. It's him, Suyao whispered the name, Wolverine, Logan, that with a determined idea. He slowly approached the bar. When the two of them were only a few steps away, he was basically determined. He looked carefully at the man drinking in front of him. This man's face has clear lines, thick and strong eyebrows, and a full beard. The body is strong and tall, the muscles look very tight, and the whole body is shrouded in male hormones, exuding a wild atmosphere. He was looking over here, and Wolverine Logan was also looking at him. The young man in front of him was wearing white short-sleeved upper body and brown shorts on the lower body, having brown hair and blue eyes. Looking through the mask, one can vaguely see that she looks very clean and young, probably 15 or 16 years old. Wolverine Logan frowned and stopped drinking. At first he noticed that this guy seemed to be following him. At first he thought it was an illusion until the guy followed him into the bar. He was already sure that this kid was following him. It's just that he doesn't seem to know this kid, right? You came closer now, as if you knew yourself. Even though he was confused, he still said, "Boy, stay away from me." As he spoke, he smashed the wine glass on the table, trying to scare away the young man in front of him. But what makes Logan wonder is, why is this kid stuck here like cowhide, with no intention of moving at all, and seems not to be scared? With doubts, he finally couldn't help but ask, "Boy, do you know me?" Suyao said casually, "Of course, I not only know you, but I also know your name. Wolverine Logan, right?" Logan was stunned when he heard this, and his eyes became more confused. He swore that he definitely didn't know the little guy in front of him, but this little guy seemed to know him. Suyao looked at him, pondered for a while, and continued, "Not only do I know your name is Wolverine Logan, I also know your other name." Wolverine Logan just frowned, but his expression changed in the next second when he heard a name that seemed familiar to him, James Howlett. Wolverine Logan covered his head, and the picture flashed through his mind, as if something flashed, but it passed quickly. After recovering, his heavy hands grabbed the shoulders of the young man in front of him. "Who are you, boy?" Looking at the mysterious young man in front of him, Wolverine Logan's eyes flashed with shock. He knew clearly that the young man in front of him did not lie and indeed knew him. He even guessed that this mysterious young man might know his life experience. Ever since he lost his memory, he has been trying to regain his memory. I didn't expect that I would get a clue today, or from the mouth of such a young guy. Suyao, who was holding his shoulders tightly, was a little speechless. I didn't expect this guy to have such a big reaction. He is naturally very familiar with the guy in front of him and knows everything about him very well. As the main character in the X-Men, as long as you have seen it, there is basically no one you don't recognize. Ahem, let go first. Suyao coughed dryly. Hearing what he said, Wolverine Logan realized that he was indeed overreacting and quickly let go of his hand. However, even though he let go of his hand, his eyes were still staring closely at the mysterious young man in front of him. End of this chapter. Chapter 24, Catch is Coming, 2 in 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 24, The Arrest is Coming, 2 in 1. Suyao was a little helpless when he stared at him like this. After thinking about it, he decided to reveal some information. Under the dim light, he slowly told Wolverine Logan about him on a Canadian estate in 1845. You were a child of 6 or 7, frail and sickly. Your name is James Howlett, and your loving father is named Jimmy. The tragedy happened one night. As he narrated, Wolverine Logan's expression became less calm, and his rough face gradually became startled. It seemed that because of his narration, he recalled some memories. Suyao glanced at him and continued, the gardener in the manor killed your father, and his death inspired you to activate the mutant gene. He looked at Wolverine Logan's hand. Subsequently, he said something that shocked Wolverine, you killed the gardener with your bone claws, but you didn't know it was your father. Your mother saw you as a monster, and you ran away from home with your half-brother, the saber-toothed tiger. Hearing this shocking news, Wolverine Logan's eyes widened, and some memory images flashed back in his mind. You renamed yourself Logan, and you and Victor went through World War I and World War II together, until one day you met Colonel Stryker. With that said, Suyao glanced at Wolverine Logan. It was a tragedy that he had participated in so many wars but not even received any credit or treatment, and had to suffer persecution from Colonel Stryker. Wolverine listened, his mind was gradually shaken. Who is he and how can he know so much? Wolverine Logan murmured, his eyes showing confusion. At this time, the two men approaching from the side, Logan's mutant friends, also looked surprised. Having been together with Logan for so long, they still didn't know that the other person had such a story. They naturally knew that Logan had lost his memory, but how did the boy opposite him know these things? The two of them looked at each other and couldn't help but feel strange. It felt as if a layer of fog shrouded the young man opposite, making them feel extremely mysterious. Looking at the two people, Suyao looked at Wolverine Logan's expression again, and after making sure that he didn't care, he continued to tell, you joined the mutant organization led by Stryker. In addition to you, there are also the saber-toothed tiger Victor and Deadpool Wade, a mercenary who is good at swordsmanship. Speaking of Deadpool, Su Yaoyan looked weird. He didn't know if he was dead or not. It would be really troublesome if he wasn't dead. Then, he introduced the members of Agent Zero, Shadow, Meatball, and Brady one by one, even what they were good at and their superpowers. Wolverine Logan and two other people were listening. The strange feeling in their hearts was getting stronger and stronger, and they felt that this young man was becoming more and more mysterious. Is this a military secret? You know this very well, are you sure you are a teenager? Otto, who looked middle-aged and had many wrinkles on his face, couldn't help but speak. The other man, Valentine, who was in his 30s and had a thin build and full beard, also nodded at this moment. Even though he didn't believe in evil, he turned to Logan and asked, is what he said true? After receiving Logan's answer that those words had indeed flashed some memories, Valentine and Otto's eyes suddenly widened, and they looked at the young man in front of them with more and more uncertainty. Suyao continued to talk in a deep voice. Then, he revealed victors in one operation after another, but Logan did not want to be a killing machine anymore and chose to quit. He also hid his identity and worked as a lumberjack. In the end, he was betrayed by his girlfriend and participated in the Weapon X program. They all said it out one by one. Finally, it also includes the incident where Logan lost his memory due to a series of events. Logan, your claws. At this point, Valentine and Otto couldn't help but glance at Logan. Even Logan couldn't help but raised his hand and looked at it. He finally knew what happened to his metal skeleton. Wolverine Logan looked at the mysterious guy in front of him gratefully. He doesn't know who the other person is, but the other person tells him the truth. Then he thanks him. However, after being bombarded by this series of information, together with Valentine's two friends, a question arose in their minds. Who is this young man? Do you even know everything about Logan's childhood and even his participation in military experiments? Like seeing it with your own eyes? The three of them couldn't help but come up with this weird idea. Then the three of them denied it in their hearts. They all thought it was impossible. How old could this young man be? How could he have seen it with his own eyes? From the temperament point of view, he doesn't look like an old monster, he just looks like a young man. Speaking of old monsters, the two Valentines glanced at Logan and were surprised by each other's age. Logan can be their grandfather. Wolverine Logan next to him was still a little shocked. It was really unimaginable for him that something that even he had forgotten would be known so clearly by a young man. the feeling that the memory brought to him also made him know that what this young man said was all the truth. Now, although he has not completely recovered his memory, listening to the young man in front of him told him, he has also recovered a little bit of memory, understands the general story of the matter, and understands the origin of his life experience. But, there is a problem. Wolverine Logan had complicated eyes and murmured, "Who are you, little guy?" Could the other party be someone to him? Not an enemy, acquaintance? Relatives? He raised his eyebrows irritably. Suddenly, he felt that the young man opposite him looked at him with some pity, as if he was pitying him for something. "Little guy, why do you look at me like that?" Suyao opened his mouth and sighed, but in the end he didn't say anything. After telling about the first half of Wolverine, he thought about the second half of Wolverine, the tragic ending. In his later years, Wolverine was even reduced to driving a taxi to survive. The current Wolverine is gone forever. In the end, he died to save other mutants, and the plot looked a bit sad and uncomfortable. In the end, it is also the best description of Logan's identity as a hero, rather than as a mutant fighting and killing. Suyao shook his head. Even not only Wolverine, but also Professor X, Charles, was very miserable in his later years and even suffered from Alzheimer's disease. As the most powerful brain in human beings, it is really incredible that it can suffer from Alzheimer's disease. Maybe it's because the body is not his original body, but the body of his younger brother that he has taken over. Since his younger brother is a vegetative state and has been bedridden all year round without thinking, it is possible that he has a hidden brain problem. Of course, it may also be affected by genetically modified food studied by the government. Under that kind of food, not only the mutated genes of newborns will be suppressed, but even people who develop superpowers will be affected. Logan's self-healing factor was probably weakened in this way, and without the suppression of the self-healing factor, the possible presence of adamantium metal toxins made his body worse and worse, and he gradually aged. In that era, it was also because of the genetically modified foods researched by the government that it was difficult to give birth to mutants. There were very few mutants left and they were almost extinct. All in all, it was a bad time for mutants, and a bad ending. Suyao was a little unclear, whether it was a story from another timeline or something that would happen in the future. I don't know if there will be a chance to change in the future, or if I have the ability to go to that timeline and change some things. Teach those governments a lesson. Let them experience again the threat and fear posed by mutants. Suyao thought with emotion. Of course, after thinking so much, if you ask him which period of Wolverine he likes best, of course he prefers Wolverine Logan in his later years, not only because he was more mature at that time, but he also had an aura of twilight about him that made people feel moved. Suddenly, he thought of something and his face changed slightly. He suddenly thought, if the timeline is reversed, such as the battle in X-Men Days of Future Past, will he be refreshed? Thinking of this, he suddenly felt a sense of crisis and had an urgent desire to improve his strength, shaked his head and glanced at Wolverine Logan and others. He temporarily ignored this idea and turned to the front of his eyes, listening to Logan's question. He smiled and said casually, "Why do you look at you so much?" "Because I think of your old age. It was a bad ending. You probably don't want to know." As soon as he finished speaking, both Wolverine Logan and the other two had a startled expression on their faces, and then they all laughed. They felt that the young man in front of them was really good at joking. After all, how could anyone see someone else's future? It's just that, thinking so, they don't know why they have a feeling in their hearts. They always feel that this boy is not joking. It feels very weird. No way, shouldn't be possible. Logan and the others were surprised and looked at the young man with more and more surprise and confusion. Who is this young man, and why can he know so many things as if he has seen them with his own eyes? Isn't this too mysterious? Otto next to him muttered. The loud rock music is still playing. At this time, Valentine looked around and asked in a low voice, "Are you a mutant too?" After finishing speaking, Suyao glanced at him in surprise, and finally looked at Wolverine Logan, nodded and admitted, "That's right." "What is your ability?" Valentine cheered up. After saying this, both Wolverine Logan and Otto's ears stood up. Before Suyao could answer, a series of abilities were created in their minds. Prophecy? Or something to do with time? They couldn't help but think so. The young man acted so mysteriously that they had to think so. Otherwise they wouldn't be able to explain the weird feeling before. Even if they have the ability to change time, they have never seen it, or even heard it, so they can't help themselves to guess like this. Suyao thought for a moment and replied casually, I can move instantly. Space capabilities. Logan and the other three were a little surprised, that's all. Although teleportation is also very rare, they can't help but be disappointed. It turns out we were overthinking it. Valentine, with a beard on his face, laughed. Then he patted Suyao's shoulder and praised, but the teleportation is also very powerful. At least the escape is pretty good. Wolverine and Logan both agreed, most mutants' abilities are very average or even useless. Having such a practical superpower as teleportation is considered very lucky and good. While a few of them were talking, a group of people hundreds of meters away were also talking. Sir, the target location has been determined. A soldier hurriedly came over and said this after saluting. Have you finally found it? Captain George, who was fully armed, had joy in his eyes at this time. He murmured to himself, finally I found you. That when he thought about the death of 5 team members not long ago because of that brat, hatred flashed uncontrollably in his eyes. You can't escape this time. Looking into the distance, a confident smile appeared on his face. This operation was not only assisted by a large number of police officers, but he also called in a lot of snipers. As long as the kid dared to show his head, he would kill him on the spot. Even not just snipers, he has approved 7 sentry robots. That kid is dead. Murderous intent flashed in his eyes, and he was too lazy to worry about the order of the base leader Alessandro to capture him alive, and decided to kill the vicious kid. He is here looking forward to what will happen next. Captain Kenny next to him has a similar expression on his face, thinking about the young man who escaped from the base. He still felt shame and anger. Dirty mutant, you can't run away this time. Just as he thought at first, it only takes a few days to catch this guy. Oh. Did you find it? At this time, a cool female voice came from not far away. I saw a woman wearing a light dress, with a slender figure, giving off a light and elegant feeling, and exuding charming charm, walking over carrying professional shooting equipment. Hello, Irina. Kenny nodded towards her. Then, Kenny smiled and said, we have locked the target position and are ready to take action. That's good. Irina, who was carrying the filming equipment and followed by a group of program staff, smiled slightly. Not long ago, a mutant video went viral on the internet and attracted widespread attention. Her TV station also noticed and discovered this business opportunity, so through connections, they found Kenny and planned to broadcast the capture of mutant fugitives live to earn a wave of ratings. At this moment, the program has attracted the attention of many people through the warm-up. Many people started chatting and sat in front of the viewing equipment, looking forward to the start of the live broadcast. Glancing at the number of people paying attention, Irina showed a satisfied smile on her face. I'm really looking forward to it. At this moment, many people on the internet started talking about it. End of this chapter. Chapter 25, Expectant Audience. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 25, The Expecting Audience. Are we about to start? Watching the preview advertisement, countless viewers were in high spirits. Last time the video host couldn't send out a follow-up, but this time I can finally see a follow-up. Yes, I can finally see the scene of the mutant being captured, which makes me unable to sleep. Let's take a guess as to when the mutant will be caught. I'll bet 20 minutes. I think it shouldn't take long, about 10 minutes. From the preview ads that appeared, they could see the momentum of this event, which directly gave them confidence. No one thought they would lose. They all felt that just because of the speed of time, sooner or later the mutant boy would be caught. Just as people were looking forward to the capture scenes that would be played later, some of the mutants watching also became worried. Hope he can escape. They were praying in their hearts, praying that the compatriot could successfully escape. At this time, both Professor X and Magneto noticed the live broadcast one after another. Professor X looked worried, Magneto's face darkened, and he became increasingly disgusted with ordinary humans. No matter what they thought, they no longer had any hope for the boy's safety. No one knows better than them that with the government's powerful power and sufficient preparations, the young man must not be able to escape. Professor X sighed and was already thinking about whether he could get the boy out through connections. Meanwhile, Magneto was thinking about whether to plan another terrorist attack to teach ordinary humans a lesson. While countless people were paying attention to this live broadcast, Kenny and others' team had already surrounded the target location. 30 well-armed soldiers got off the armored vehicle, and some police cars followed behind them to protect them. More than 100 meters away from the target, the soldiers chatted while making preparations. "Hey, Lilian, do you think we can catch the target this time?" A handsome soldier asked the person next to him hesitantly. Lilian, who was asked by him, glanced at him, with a confident smile on his face. "Don't worry, we know the target's information very well and have already planned the combat operations. The target cannot escape." Before coming, they watched the videos of the mutant battles many times. They knew the opponent's abilities very well, and the think tank also arranged a comprehensive battle plan. How could they lose? Hearing this, the inquiring soldier also showed a confident expression on his face. "That's right, it's just about teleporting and emitting black energy waves. What's so difficult about it?" While some soldiers were talking, Captain George and Captain Kenny were also talking in the distance. Captain George suddenly said, "The strength of number 37 will not become stronger again, right?" Kenny glanced at him and immediately understood his worries. He shook his head and said with a smile on his face, "Just like the commander said, being able to hide 2 abilities and part of his strength has reached the limit of that brat. He has nothing to hide. We have figured out the strength of number 37, and we are well prepared this time. He can't escape, that's right." Captain George showed a relaxed smile on his face. At this time, Kenny continued, "Don't mention it, we also brought 7 sentry robots." He glanced at several safes not far away, and his face was very confident. Speaking of the sentry robots, Captain George glanced at the box containing the sentry robots in the distance, with some confusion in his eyes. Why not bring those giant sentry robots, but bring out this spider-type sentry robot? There was a hint of dissatisfaction in his words. Hearing this, Captain Kenny glanced at him speechlessly and said angrily, "You guys, you don't need funds to make a giant sentry robot. It's enough to get these approvals this time. To deal with number 37, we don't need that kind of sentry, and he doesn't deserve it. These sentry robots are enough to catch him." Listening to his words, Captain George nodded. "So that's it." "That's right. These 7 sentry robots are enough to deal with number 37. At this time, the beautiful Irina, who was standing not far away from them, heard the words and showed a look of interest on her face. "Oh, Sentinel robot. I heard that you are still researching it, and you have already produced some finished products." Irina chuckled, "Just in time, let the audience see the sentry robot this time, maybe the ratings will increase." Looking at Irina, Kenny and the other 2 didn't say anything, so they acquiesced to her filming. The video that was posted online some time ago did have a big impact. This time, through the successful arrest, we can tell everyone that mutants are not that scary, and they are not invincible. Let everyone learn to be confident. This is also the main reason why they allowed Irina to follow the filming. While they were setting up the battle site, they also attracted the attention of many passers-by along the way. Everyone looked surprised, wondering what department was up to what tricks, drills. Amid doubts and curiosity, even though they were warned to stay away, people still followed from a distance, and some even watched from a distance with telescopes. Some distance away from here, Chris, who had rescued Su Yao, was also coming in stride. "Boy, you have to hold on." Ever since he saw the trailer not long ago, he felt a thump in his heart, knowing that the child was in danger. Although he had seen the child's ability before and knew that it was okay, but when faced with so many armed forces surrounding him, what was the use of his little ability, and how could he possibly escape? So, now he rushed towards that place with all his strength, thinking that he might be able to help. If he could, he would help the child escape. As he rushed towards that side, Captain George and others also started taking action. Bright lights shined on the bar, making the street as bright as daylight. In the bar, Wolverine and others who were talking also noticed the panic of the crowd. "Run quickly. The police are surrounding this place. Oh my God, I don't want to be affected." The crowd screamed in panic and rushed toward the exit crazily. "What happened?" Valentine looked confused. "I'll go out and take a look." Wolverine Logan said solemnly, relying on his self-healing ability. he strode towards the entrance of the bar. Valentine and Otto looked at each other and followed suit without understanding what was going on. Before following him, Otto turned to Su Yao and shouted, "Hey, follow him quickly, let's go take a look together." Looking at their leaving figures, Su Yao's eyes darkened slightly. Unlike Logan and others who knew nothing, he quickly guessed the reason. Those people should be the ones who came for us. He was thinking about whether to use space transfer to try to escape from this place. A few seconds later, he decided to take a look at the situation from a distance and consider whether to run away. He followed Logan and others from a distance. As soon as he reached the exit, his expression changed slightly. He saw that the surrounding area outside was as bright as day, and beams of bright lights shone from the roof of the car in the distance. He saw police cars one after another and well-armed soldiers. A rough estimate was that there were at least dozens of them. He has already begun to think about how he can escape safely. Just as he was planning the route, Wolverine, Logan, and others' faces changed when they saw the battle outside. What happened? Such a big battle. In addition to being surprised and suspicious, they were also a little guilty, fearing that these guys were here to cause trouble for them. While they were having different thoughts, George and others who were dozens of meters away made a move. End of this chapter. Chapter 26, Desperate Logan et al. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 26 The Desperate Logan and Others. Captain George held a loudspeaker and said righteously, "Kevin, the fugitive mutant, we know you are inside, come out, we have surrounded this place, you can't run away." George sneered as he yelled, "The kid couldn't choose this bar anywhere, the surrounding environment is just right for them to do their best." While he was shouting, Irina also directed the program team to turn on the camera. The scene here was immediately broadcast in real time through live broadcast, and countless people watched the scene. Suddenly, every audience was looking forward to it, looking forward to the scene of the mutant fugitives fighting the police army and then being defeated and captured. The mutants who watched were panic-stricken and felt as if a rabbit had died and a fox had died. Wolverine Logan, who walked out of the bar and was ready to fight, frowned and realized that he was not looking for the three of them, etc. If you're not looking for the three of them, who are you looking for? Kevin. A figure suddenly appeared in Wolverine Logan's mind. The two Ottos next to them also had some guesses. The two were hesitating whether to leave here. Even though they are both mutants, they are not related to Kevin, so they cannot take such a big risk. They were dozens of well-armed soldiers, and they didn't think anyone could defeat them. While they were hesitating, Su Yao was also about to use space transfer to retreat, when his face suddenly changed slightly, after seeing George shouting in the distance, but he still didn't come out. He ordered a few soldiers and asked them to open a few boxes. As the box opened, 7 black spiders the size of washbasins stood up, and then crawled towards the bar in unison, at extremely fast speeds. Target locked. A cold mechanical sound sounded. They paused for a moment, and then rushed in the direction of Su Yao with extremely accurate direction. Su Yao, who was already preparing for the space transfer, changed his face slightly. Is this targeting me? Soon he figured it out. Are these things sentry robots? He recognized what these ghosts were. They were a certain type of sentry robot, but he didn't recognize the specific model. Of course, if it was the famous ghost sentry robot, that is, the sentry robot in Days of Future Past, he still knew what model it was called. It is obvious that these spider-shaped sentry robots, like the ghost sentry robots, also have the function of identifying and locking mutants. Trouble. He knew that if these sentry robots were not dealt with, even if they used space transfer, they would probably be found later. Why do you have to mess with me? Su Yao's eyes flashed with anger. Since these people like to chase after them so much, be prepared to die. The next second, looking at the spider sentry robot approaching 15 meters, he stretched out his hand and pointed. Black particles. Black particle experience +1. Black particles are like bullets, flying towards the sentry robot very quickly. Sensing something, the spider sentinel robot's red eyes flashed and it turned slightly to hide. Although it hit quickly, some of its spider legs were still hit and disappeared in an instant, making it unsteady and fell to the ground. This is... Wolverine Logan and others were confused and immediately turned their heads to look towards the entrance of the bar. At this moment, there was almost no one around the bar. As they got closer, they saw a familiar figure. Is he Kevin? Although Otto and the two had expected it, they were still a little surprised after their guess was verified. How on earth did this young man offend those people and let them be so prepared to deal with him? They retreated in their hearts and had the idea of staying away from here, but the Wolverine next to him had a different expression. Tisk, trouble. Logan spit out the cigar in his mouth. He talked about trouble, as if he didn't want to care about it, but his actions were very honest, with a light flashing in his eyes, and he stretched out his adamantium alloy claws. As soon as he raised his hands, he rushed towards the sentry robot. The red light in the eyes of several sentry robots that had fled to the dark due to the black particle attack suddenly flickered. They had discovered these 3 mutants a long time ago, but their target was not them, so they ignored them. Unexpectedly, they would dare to rush over. Obviously, this hinders their capture of the target. Soon, instructions to eliminate these 3 people were written in their program. For a time, 3 black sentinel spiders surrounded Wolverine. Logan. With a swipe sound, Logan swept his claws towards the sentry spider that jumped over. What surprised him was that this thing was unexpectedly strong. Even when his adamantium claws hit the opponent, they left a few deep marks and a sense of stagnation. How did that little guy take off the spider's legs so easily? Wolverine. Logan's eyes flashed with confusion, seeing that Logan was surrounded by sentry robots. Otto, who were about to leave in the distance, saw that they had no choice but to rush over. Otto's figure flashed, and all the figures ran out of the phantom, ran towards one of the sentry robots at the speed of sound, and then punched it. With a bang, the sentinel spider was knocked away. But he also howled and covered his red and swollen right hand. Shit, what is this thing so hard? On the other side, white-blue lightning flashed out from Valentine's body, and a crackle of lightning hit the sentinel spider that attacked Logan. While they were fighting the sentry robot, Captain George and others in the distance, as well as the audience watching the live broadcast, also noticed the sudden appearance of the 3 mutants. The target has been taken, all teams pay attention. George first reminded the others, then picked up the horn and warned the 3 Logans, those 3 mutants, stop me immediately and put your hands high on your head. After giving a few warnings, seeing that they ignored them and that the sentry robots were still ready to be wiped out, Captain George ordered, use the tranquilizer gun to deal with them. One soldier after another took out a special tranquilizer gun, pointed it at the 3 people in the distance and started shooting. For a moment, the 3 of them were at a disadvantage. If they were not careful, they would be shot, and then they would collapse to the ground unable to move. When they fell into a disadvantage, the audience also started talking. These 3 people are so awesome. It's so fast, and there's another one that can also emit lightning. The sentry robot is going to lose. These mutants are so powerful. The big guy with claws is also very powerful. He actually killed a sentry robot with 1 claw. After praising, they began to sing bad words, but now they are going to lose. Yes, seeing that they were all in a hurry, I said, how can any mutant defeat so many soldiers? Sure enough. Just when Wolverine, Logan and others were a little desperate and the audience was very happy to watch, a figure appeared in the camera and was exposed to everyone's vision. End of this chapter. Chapter 27, Shocked Logan and Others. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 27 Shocked Logan and Others. The gunshots were suspended. At this moment, whether it was the soldier who shot, the police officer who assisted, or Captain George and the audience, all their eyes were focused on it. The boy who walked over was wearing white short sleeves and brown shorts, with short brown hair and blue eyes. Although most of his face is covered by a mask, he can still faintly see that he is handsome. Is this the mutant fugitive? Looking very young, is he really capable of doing so many things? I'm also thinking, this guy doesn't seem to have that kind of ability. The audience who had not watched the video and had little knowledge started to discuss it, in front of the TV, looking at the handsome young man. Professor, although this feeling was not the first time for them, they didn't think much about it and just thought it was an illusion. But no matter what they thought, their status as mutants made them worried about this young man. Why did you come out? Wolverine. Logan asked with a frown while wary of the sentinel spider. Otto and the 2 people next to him also complained a little. They all knew that these people were arresting him, so why didn't they run away? With his teleportation ability, he should be able to leave here, right? Staying here will not only not be able to help them, but may also be a drag on them. You go, I'll take care of it here. Suyao said, if you continue to attack, you will be in danger. Wolverine. Logan frowned even deeper when he heard this. He frowned and said, "Listen boy, don't be brave, you should leave obediently, let us handle it here." Although he was a little surprised, this little guy had used some method to destroy the legs of a mechanical spider, but he still didn't think this little guy could face so many well-armed guys, so at this moment, he reminded the other party and hoped that the other party would leave here, while he stayed here to delay for some time. At this time, another voice sounded, "He's right, you should get out of here." In an instant, one after another looked towards the direction of the sound. I saw a burly man wearing a black hood, striding towards here. "Hurry up, I'll stop you here," the burly man said in a solemn voice, looking at Sue in front of him. He sighed secretly. His impression of the boy in front of him was still at the beginning. In his eyes, this young man's ability is okay for dealing with a dozen people, but it would be difficult to face dozens of fully armed soldiers, so now, he is also persuading the other party to leave. Wolverine, Logan, and the other three were alert at first, and then relaxed. "Are you here to help?" Noticing the confirmation looks they cast, Suyao nodded. Although Chris covered his face with a black hood, he still recognized the other person from his figure and voice. At this moment, Captain George's cold voice came from afar, "No one of you can leave today." With his order, the soldiers started shooting again. Chris's whole body glowed red, forming an energy shield to resist the anesthetic needles. Then he took out a pistol from his waist and started shooting without saying a word. Bang bang. The soldiers fought with several people. It's a pity that although they are very powerful, they are at a disadvantage when facing the sentry robots and their unpredictable anesthesia guns. Even Valentine was hit with an anesthetic shot and soon fell to the ground softly. The audience who watched the live broadcast started talking with gusto. These mutants are very powerful, but it's a pity that they are no longer opponents when facing so many soldiers. Haha. They are about to lose. When they lose, the mutant boy hiding behind won't be able to escape. Captain George and Captain Kenny looked at this scene with satisfied smiles on their faces. "This is what you get for opposing us." Captain George sneered, "No one of you can run away today." As he said that, he turned his head and glanced not far away. The soldier received the signal and immediately quietly withdrew from the siege. Suddenly, the sound of sniper rifle shooting suddenly echoed through the area. Not good. Logan and others' expressions all changed, and they immediately turned their heads to look in the direction of the young man. At this moment, countless viewers watching the live broadcast and people at the scene also stared at the past. Then, they were stunned. They saw that the young man they thought had been in trouble was still standing there safe and sound, not looking like he had been shot at all. How can it be? Did everyone guess wrong? That bullet was not shot at that young man. Until, they saw the sniper in the dark firing again. Boom. The bullets roared, approaching the target at an alarming speed. At this moment, countless eyes focused on the young man, then they were shocked. The bullet that was fired suddenly disappeared. They were puzzled and shocked here, but Suyao, who was the target of the sniper, breathed a sigh of relief. As early as when he came out, he tried to get 2 rebound shields in front to directly block his front. Now the sniper bullet was fired and was swallowed up by the rebound shield into the void space in an instant. The audience was puzzled. Why did the bullet disappear? Did you miss the mark? When everyone was confused, Suyao said coldly, "Give it back to you." Suyao tried to release the bullet that was frozen in the void space before it could be decomposed. With a whoosh, the solidified sniper bullet appeared instantly, and then rushed towards the sniper in the distance at the same speed. What? The sniper screamed and was suddenly shot in the chest by the bullet. Blood spattered everywhere. He clutched his chest and fell to the ground. He was dying. He was about to die. He didn't know if he was shot in the heart, whether it was the sniper or anyone else. Everyone was filled with surprise. What kind of superpower is this? Rebound bullet? The audience was puzzled here. The faces of Captain George and Captain Kenny in the distance both changed. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Number 37 also has a hidden ability. Captain George was surprised and hurriedly ordered to the soldiers, "Ignore those mutants, all attack the mutant fugitive." Yes. In an instant, anesthesia needles and bullets were quickly fired in the direction of Suyao. Bounce shield experience +1. Bounce shield experience +1. Bullets and anesthesia needles disappeared suddenly, and then reappeared suddenly. Ah! Although they were well prepared, Captain George and others were still a little unprepared for the bullets and anesthesia needles that were fired at them. For a while, screams continued. Wolverine, Logan and others stood aside, all stunned. End of this chapter. Chapter 28, number 37 has so many superpowers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 28 number 37 has so many superpowers. Not only them, the audience also had their mouths open. Even Magneto and Professor X had a look of surprise in their eyes. Before they could calm down, they saw the young man moving. His figure disappeared on the spot, then appeared 10 meters away, and then disappeared again. In 2 flashes, he was extremely close to the position of Captain George and others. Stop him! Captain George frowned. The snipers, who had been prepared for a long time, shot at the location where the boy might appear. The remaining 3 sentry robots also attacked now. Black particles. Black particle experience +1. In the surprised eyes of Wolverine, Logan and others, the black particles instantly penetrated the sentinel spider's body. Even if the opponent's body was extremely strong, it had no effect at this time. In the flash of lightning, the sentinel spider twitched and collapsed to the ground. Space transfer experience +1. Space transfer experience +1. Black particle experience +1. While dodging, Suyao did not forget to shoot black particles at the soldiers in the distance. At the same time, he also used a trick that has never been shown in front of others. Pillar of spiritual power. Spiritual power light pillar experience +1. A pillar of blue energy suddenly rose from the feet of a soldier. Screams rang out, and the soldier was immediately cut in half. The scene was extremely bloody. Oh God, help! Oh my God! Exclamations came and went. Looking at Lilian, who died tragically, Herman had a dull look on his face. Not long ago Lilian was chatting and laughing with him, saying that he knew the mutant fugitive very well and was confident that he could not escape. Herman muttered to himself, "Didn't we agree that this mutant can only absorb sunlight, teleport and emit black energy waves? What's the situation now? First it can bounce bullets, and now it uses this blue energy beam. This man is as easy to deal with as Chief George said." At this moment, Herman roared in his heart, and at the same time he was afraid of the boy not far away. What kind of monster is this? There are so many variant abilities. Not to mention that he was shocked at this moment. Captain George and Captain Kenny in the distance were also in disbelief. Let's not mention that the sentry robot was easily killed, but that guy actually hid his abilities again. Captain Kenny, didn't you say that being able to hide part of your strength has reached the limit of that kid? Why does he have other abilities to hide? Captain George shouted in disbelief. Kenny was also shocked and murmured, "God, how could he still hide his strength? This number 37 has so many superpowers." He couldn't help but feel confused. From a distance, Logan finally understood how the little guy easily took off the robot's legs. What kind of mutant ability is this? Otto and Valentine next to them were in similar moods. However, what shocked them the most was that this mysterious boy actually had more than one ability. Didn't he say it was just teleportation? Then what are these now? Look what they saw. In just a short time, they saw almost 4 kinds of superpowers. What a hell! The boy who was originally very mysterious in their hearts will become even more mysterious. Chris next to them also had a very complicated mood. He couldn't believe it. His impression of the young man not far away was still the time when he was fighting those 10 people. Although his strength was still good at that time, he was definitely not as strong as he is now. When did he become so strong? Can mutants improve their strength so quickly? And, doesn't this kid have too many mutant abilities? Chris was confused. While the people at the scene were shocked, the audience watching the live broadcast had different thoughts. Is this mutant so powerful? Oh my God, they are much more powerful than the other mutants. Although those mutants are also very powerful, they are definitely not that strong. How can one person fight against a group of soldiers? I feel like I'm going to lose sleep completely. How could there be such a strong person? Ordinary viewers are shocked, and the mutants watching the live broadcast are also shocked. This guy is so awesome. Why does he have so many abilities? The mutants are filled with confusion, as well as more or less envy and jealousy. Professor X and Magneto also had strange expressions on their faces. Professor. As long as you train a little and master various abilities, you will definitely be a qualified X-Men. As for Magneto, his eyes flashed with admiration now. Seeing this child decisively killing ordinary humans, he liked it more and more as he watched, and the idea of recruiting him became stronger and stronger in his heart. They had different thoughts here. Su Yao, who was fighting, suddenly shouted to Wolverine, Logan and others in the distance, "You leave here first, I will find you later." Logan and the others, who were hiding behind the bunker and panting, were stunned for a moment. Then they realized that staying here might become a drag, so they started to evacuate with the limp Valentine on their backs. George and others in the distance wanted to stop him, but they were powerless. Their attention was all attracted by Su Yao. In a short period of time, more than a dozen people died in his hands. Number 37, stop. Captain Kenny shouted gloomily. Su Yao was slightly startled and almost laughed out of anger. "You don't even look at what they have done, why don't you stop?" Abruptly, he fired a black particle in Kenny's direction. Although he narrowly escaped, it still made him break out in a cold sweat. Su Yao frowned slightly and subconsciously wanted to move the space, but before he could feel anything, he saw the guy named George opening his clothes, and there were a row of bombs hanging in his clothes. Obviously, this is to prevent his space transfer sneak attack. As long as he dares to pass by, the other party will dare to detonate a bomb to see if it can kill him. Su Yao frowned slightly. He didn't dare to bet whether it was the bomb that exploded faster, his spatial transfer speed, or it was the opponent's reaction speed. As long as that George predicts the space shift and detonates the bomb in advance, he might encounter him head-on as soon as he passes by. Su Yao didn't dare to gamble with his life. It would be great if the black particles were level 3. Su Yao sighed. Judging from the current range of 15 meters of secondary black particles, there is really nothing we can do against that George. If it is a third-level black particle, the range will definitely be increased. By then, Su Yao pondered, thinking a lot in that moment, and even considered whether to try to consume additional light energy in his body to enhance the black particles. However, he was a little unsure whether the distance would be increased. What's more, instead of increasing consumption of black particles, he might as well use sunlight. Seeking recommended tickets, seeking reading, seeking monthly tickets by the way. Push a friend's book. Thanks to Fish by the River for the 500. Starting coin reward, thanks to Luo Lixiang for the 500-point reward, thanks to Boskin Plum for the 500-point reward, thanks to Bien Asia for the 100-coin reward, thanks to S for the 100-coin reward, thanks to Reinhardt's for the 100-coin reward, thanks to Knife Chaser for the 100-point reward. End of this chapter. Chapter 29, Shocked Alessandro, 2 in 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 29 The Shocked Alessandro, 2 in 1. Su Yao couldn't help but shook his head when he thought of the sunshine. Just after sensing the remaining energy in his body, he knew that it would be impossible to display it, after fighting for a while, not to mention the consumption of space transfer during the period. Just by killing those 10 people, there was not much energy left in his body. After all, the energy in his body is only enough to use his ability more than 40 times, not to mention that it was still night, and it was even more difficult to perform it when the sun was shining. Before he could perform it, he was sucked into a mummy. Even if he used it, he couldn't get rid of these people at once. As if to guard against his black particles, this group of people stood far away from each other, and the range of sunlight was limited, so it was impossible to eliminate them all at once. Don't let the energy in your body run out and become a lamb to be slaughtered. It would be great if the light energy in the body is sufficient, or the sunlight is level 2. Su Yao sighed secretly, sensing the remaining energy. He noticed that Logan and others had left, and he also had the idea of leaving. Black particle experience +1. Black particle experience +1. Before leaving, he fired 2 black particles at the sentinel spiders not far away, completely destroying them to avoid being tracked by them. After estimating the remaining light energy in his body, he fired another black particle at a person, and immediately heard a scream. Black particle experience +1. Before the frightened and angry Captain George and others could do anything, Su Yao's figure disappeared in a blur and appeared 10 meters away. After several flashes, his figure completely disappeared from everyone's sight. George and Kenny looked gloomy, hesitated for a while, and did not choose to order the pursuit. Fark. Captain Kenny gritted his teeth, let this little devil escape again. If the kid hadn't hidden his abilities, how could he have escaped this time? Thinking about the hidden ability, even he couldn't help but be a little surprised. Damn it, this kid is only capable of so much. He cursed. Captain George next to him was in the same mood at this moment. He didn't understand why the kid was so different and had so many mutant abilities. I think that kid has reached his limit this time. George showed a forced smile. Captain Kenny was a little hesitant when he heard this, but he could only nod his head and sighed. It failed again this time. Let's think about how to explain it to Chief Alessandro. Alas. The expression on Captain George's face was a little ugly. This can't be blamed on them, it can only be blamed on the change in that boy's strength. At this moment, they heard Irina's words of comfort to the audience not far away. Friends from the audience, it seems that our arrest operation failed this time, but don't be discouraged, the mutant fugitive cannot escape. After all, he is only one person, so how can he compete with the authorities? It won't be much, and he will definitely be caught. Irina showed a sweet smile and tried her best to comfort the audience watching the live broadcast. After this night, some of the audience who were afraid of mutants felt a little more relaxed. That's right, that mutant is powerful, but how can he compare with the government? That is to say, the army did not come out to encircle and suppress him, otherwise he would have been captured long ago. Many people gradually relaxed when they thought of this. Listening to Irina's words of comfort to the audience, Captain George and the two became even more unhappy. Catch mutants properly and tell everyone that mutants are not that scary, but the result has become what it is now. Shouldn't it be clear to everyone now that mutants are scary? They can't defeat the mutants. Fortunately, Irina's last words saved some of their face, and they also felt that it made sense. After all, how can a person escape their capture? Although you can't catch the opponent now, the opponent will be caught sooner or later. Some mutants watching the live broadcast were originally happy that their compatriots had escaped, but their hearts twitched when they heard this. Professor X and Magneto have different thoughts now. Professor. Space transfer experience +1. Suyao breathed a sigh of relief after escaping from that area. I'll let you go this time. Thinking of the two leaders, a glint flashed in his eyes. Then, he sensed that the light energy in his body was almost dry, and a look of helplessness appeared on his face. The light energy in the body is still not enough, otherwise, those people can be completely eliminated. They suffered heavy losses this time and should be able to gain some development time. Su Yaoyan had some expectations in his eyes and couldn't wait for the dawn to continue practicing his abilities. He tried to train the sunshine to the 2nd level, or to upgrade the black particles and other abilities to the 3rd level. If he encounters those people again, he can easily kill them without even running. Just as he was filled with anticipation, Suyao was slightly startled, thinking of Luo Zhen and others who had escaped before. Where did they flee to? After thinking for a long time, he decided to take a walk in the direction of Chris' house. Nearly 40 minutes later, he heard a call from not far away. Hey Kevin, over here. Otto shouted from a distance. Suyao took a closer look and saw a man waving to him in the distance. Logan and others were also there. Suyao ran over quickly, dragging his tired body. Follow me. Otto and the others went further and further away, and brought him to a sewer manhole cover. Otto opened the manhole cover and climbed down first, followed by Logan and others. Suyao hesitated for a moment, then closed the manhole cover and climbed down slowly. As soon as he went down a short distance, he was surprised to find that there was a cave below. In a dark and humid environment, a simple shelter was built not far away. Otto glanced at Valentine and said, "He and I built this before. It was originally intended to have a place to live when we escaped." At this point, he paused and smiled helplessly, but it's almost the same now, it just comes in handy. After introducing this place, several people, including Otto, looked at Suyao with surprise in their eyes. "Who are you?" Valentine, who had regained some consciousness, couldn't help but ask. Wolverine. Logan looked amazed. Otto and Chris on the side had similar expressions, looking at him with strange eyes. Suyao didn't know how to answer. At this time, Wolverine. Logan said speechlessly, "You have so many abilities, little guy. You said you can only teleport." He looked at Suyao with strange eyes. Suyao was a little embarrassed and reluctantly explained, "I didn't say I could only teleport. I only said I could teleport. Even though he was explaining here, Logan and the others still looked at him like they were looking at monsters, especially Logan, Otto, and Valentine. They thought he was very mysterious because of his detailed description of Logan's deeds. After the recent battle, they felt that the young man in front of them was extremely mysterious. They were all curious about his identity, origin, and abilities. At this time, Chris, who had been silent until now, spoke up. Is this what you said about hiding some ability? Since we met, you have almost displayed 6 abilities, which means you have at least 6 abilities. What? The 3 Logans, who originally thought they knew the boy well, were dumbfounded when they heard this, 6 kinds. Not only what you see in front, but there is also something else hidden. As their expressions changed, they became more and more shocked. Who is this young man? Why do you know so many secrets? We are both mutants, but we have so many mutant abilities. At this moment, a series of questions popped up in their minds. Xiao didn't know how to answer, so he could only use what he had said to Chris before. He said, as a mutant, I have to be vigilant, so I hide a little bit of my abilities. Is this still a little? Chris asked with a question mark on his forehead. You kid. Suddenly, he asked, boy, are you hiding something? What level of mutant are you? Level 3 or level 4? He was not the only one to have this question. Even Wolverine Logan couldn't help but have these questions in his mind at this moment. As for level 5, they didn't even think about it. Xiao coughed a few times, but he still didn't know how to answer this question. He changed the subject and asked, how long are you going to stay here? As he spoke, he glanced at the terrible environment around him. Otto said, we can't go out until the storm outside subsides. It should take a few days. It's too dangerous to go out now. Logan and others nodded. Xiao heard this, glanced at them, and suddenly said, I may leave here tomorrow. What? Are you crazy? Otto said in shock, aren't you afraid of being caught when you go out like this? Listen boy. Wolverine Logan couldn't help it anymore and wanted to persuade him. Just before he finished speaking, Xiao said, there is no point in me staying here. Even if I don't leave, those people will find this place soon. And it's me they're arresting. It has nothing to do with you. It'll be good for you if I leave here. Of course, the most important reason is that it is too dark here, with almost no sunlight coming in. How can he improve his strength without sunlight? If you really stay here and your strength does not improve much, then you are really looking for death. A few people tried to persuade him, but seeing that he had made up his mind, they could only look at him with complicated eyes. Time passed quickly, and the next day soon came, absorbing a little sunlight coming in from the manhole cover. The energy in Suyao's body began to recover. 10 minutes later, nodding to Logan and others, Suyao disappeared into the sewer in a blur. Looking at his figure disappearing, several people's eyes showed concern. After what happened yesterday, the arrest of Kevin will definitely be stricter in the future. And I don't know if he can escape. In a remote alley, Suyao's figure suddenly appeared here. After taking a quick glance around to make sure there was no one else, he hurriedly left here. While choosing a new shelter, he saw how powerful those people were. On the street, there are people staring at them at certain distances, as if they are looking for suspicious people. Suyao frowned and could only choose to rely on space transfer to move. Space transfer experience +1. Space transfer experience +1. It took him more than half an hour to find a place that was both hidden and exposed to sunlight. After the energy in his body was restored to full, he heard the long-lost prompt, light energy +1. Light energy +1. Light energy +1. Suyao took advantage of the time to collect light energy and tried something. Bounce shield experience +1. Bounce shield experience +1. In the blink of an eye, 2 invisible rebound shields appeared around him. Suyao couldn't help but frown when he tried to summon the 3rd rebound shield. Failed. He has a feeling that the 3rd rebound shield may need to be upgraded to level 3 before it can appear. Originally, I was thinking of using a few more rebound shields to protect the whole body tightly, but it seems I thought too much. After testing the rebound shield, he turned his attention to the remaining abilities. Soon, his eyes were fixed on the sunshine. Ability, Sunlight, 23/100, Level 1, first upgrade the sunlight to Level 2, and then upgrade the black particles to Level 3. By then, the range of sunlight and the range of the black particles should both be improved. The next second, a bright light appeared on his body, accompanied by a prompt sound, sunshine experience +1. Sunshine experience +1. Sunshine experience +1. While Suyao was working hard to improve his strength, George, who had not slept all night after dealing with the wounded in the 23rd base, knocked anxiously on the door of the base director Alessandro's office. "Come in." Alessandro's deep voice sounded. Captain George and the other two walked in uneasily. As soon as they entered, they were startled and looked a little panicked by the eyes of the person in charge, Alessandro, sitting on a chair. Alessandro, wearing a black and white suit with a slicked back hair, had a gloomy face and looked at the two people who walked in with sharp eyes. "Failed again?" he asked gloomily. Captain George took a deep breath and nodded reluctantly. "You two are really useless, you brought so many people with you. You can't even catch a mere number 37. Do you know how many people have called me during this time? You two losers." Alessandro slammed the table angrily and threw a water glass at them while scolding them. With a bang, the water glass hit George, causing him severe pain, but he did not dare to make a sound. Seeing that the officer's anger had subsided, Captain Kenny quickly explained the reason. "Sir, there's something very wrong with number 37. Alessandro motioned for him to continue. Captain Kenny quickly gave a brief explanation of the battle process, as well as the fact that number 37 had improved in strength and even showed 2 more mutant abilities. "What did you say?" Alessandro's face showed a look of shock. End of this chapter. Chapter 30, Mutants 1 and 5. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 30 Mutants number 1 and 5, are you sure? Alessandro asked in surprise. "Okay." Captain Kenny nodded solemnly. Number 37 does have 2 more abilities, one can reflect bullets, and the other can emit blue energy beams. Hearing this, Alessandro touched his well-groomed beard and murmured in surprise, "That little brat, is it possible that there is strength and ability hidden in front of you?" That even though he thought so, he still felt something was wrong. No, he still has too many mutant abilities. That it's not like he hasn't thought about whether these abilities could be derived from some mutant abilities, such as telepathy and mental control derived from mental abilities. However, the superpowers currently displayed by the kid do not seem to be related at all. Forget it, just think that the kid has mutated, and having a few more abilities is no big deal. After all, the kid has a lot of abilities, but none of them are particularly strong. Even if he has more abilities, so what? In Alessandro's eyes, as long as he is willing to pay the price, he can easily get rid of the kid, so it is not a big threat. Alessandro couldn't figure it out, so he stopped thinking. He looked at the two Georges sternly and said, "This cannot cover up the result that you failed again. Not only did you fail to arrest anyone this time, you also lost many people." Hearing what he said, Captain Kenny knew that he would definitely face punishment next, and said hurriedly, "Sir Alessandro, please give us another chance. I've tested that kid to his limits. If I try it again, I'll definitely be able to catch him." Captain George and Alessandro on the side were slightly startled when they heard this. "Oh, Captain Kenny, what do you say?" George asked in surprise. Noticing their gazes, Captain Kenny smiled slightly and said, "I didn't understand it when number 37 escaped earlier, but now I have figured it out. At that time, number 37 killed almost half of our people. With his ability, it shouldn't be too difficult to kill the rest." In the end, the kid didn't continue to attack, but left. At this point, he laughed. "You mean?" Captain George's eyes lit up as he thought of something. Captain Kenny said firmly, "Yes, I suspect that boy has reached his limit and cannot continue to use his abilities." Hearing what he said, Captain George and Alessandro thought about it seriously and approved of his words. Indeed, judging from the way the kid killed people in a straightforward manner, if he had the ability to continue to attack, he would definitely not show mercy and would definitely kill the remaining people on the spot. In other words, he had almost reached his limit and had to retreat. "Means?" Alessandro frowned slightly. Captain Kenny said firmly, "As long as more people are sent to encircle and suppress us next time, that number 37 will definitely not be able to escape. I've tested that kid's limits. If you plan, he won't be able to fly away even if he has wings." Hearing this, Alessandro felt that what he said made sense. After hesitating for a moment, Alessandro decided to give them another chance. He nodded, seeing that he agreed. Captain Kenny and Captain George breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, Captain George suddenly thought of something and asked, "Sir, can you apply for a few giant sentry robots?" Captain Kenny's eyes lit up. Hearing this, Alessandro shook his head and said, "The giant sentry robot is still under development, and some key points have not yet been broken through. There is not even a finished product yet." George and the two were a little disappointed. Looking at them, I knew that they were a little unsure and wanted to gain some chips. He ordered, "This time you go to base number 2 and dispatch a mutant named Hound. He can help you find number 37, in addition, number 1 and number 5 from the base will also go with you this time." When he mentioned number 1 and number 5, he could not help but show a proud expression on his face. George and the two were stunned. Hounds knew what the mutant was capable of just by hearing the name, and they were not surprised. What stunned them was number 1 and number 5. Thinking of numbers 1 and 5, their eyes showed wonder and fear. Number 5 with super speed, self-healing and energy shock. Number 1 with body metallization, enhanced strength, enhanced 5 senses, and pulse interference. These two guys are monsters, humanoid weapons. They are monsters developed by their base. From the numbers, it can be seen that the power possessed by these two people is much more terrifying than that of number 37. At the beginning, Kenny commented that compared to number 37, these two people can be regarded as mutants, possessing formidable power. Furthermore, number 1 is also known as the nemesis of mutants. He possesses pulse interference. Not only will electronic devices fail in his presence, but even mutants' abilities will be disrupted to the point of failure when facing him. So far, they have never seen an undisturbed mutant. With this guy, number 37 will not be able to run away even if he wants to. Facing him, his abilities will be ineffective as soon as he comes face to face. Without ability, 37 is just an ordinary person. How can he still resist? After figuring it out, Kenny and Kenny could not help but show confident smiles on their faces. Captain Kenny praised, "Compared to number 1 and number 5, number 37 is really not worth mentioning. With them, we will definitely not fail this time." That you can't blame him for being so confident. Even if you don't mention the ability of pulse interference, the strength of number 1 and number 5 alone is not comparable to that of number 37. 37 would take a while to deal with a dozen of them when facing them, but numbers 1 and 5 would probably be able to deal with them neatly within a minute. Furthermore, they have already tested that kid's limit. Plus number 1 and number 5, how can they lose this time? Captain Kenny had no idea. Before swiping away the two men, Alessandro gave them 5 more sentinel spiders to assist in the capture. After that, he stayed in the office, ready to wait for the good news. While they were discussing matters, both ordinary prisoners and mutant prisoners in experimental base number 23 began to whisper to each other, "Hey, have you heard that number 37 has not been caught yet?" Not only was he not caught, he also killed many people sent by the base. "I heard there were more than a dozen people, prisoners who received information from prison guards shared information." "No, I haven't been caught yet. How is that possible? Is number 37 so powerful? I've seen number 37 before, he shouldn't be that strong, right? What kind of mutant power does he have that can kill so many people?" End of this chapter.